Hello, Shireen.
Hello, Pascal.
How are you? It's so good to meet you in person. Salam alaikum.
Yeah, finally. I'm so happy.
Yes, thank you for your invitation.
How are you
Can you?
doing?
I'm doing well. I'm on vacation with my family. It's our first
Yeah, and thanks.
vacation in our first in 2 years.
And thanks to your lovely family for accepting this. That's really.
Well, you may hear my wife making breakfast in the background.
Say to her good morning. Say hello to her, please.
I'm sorry.
So where are you? Are you in Canada now or
No,
somewhere
I
else?
I am in the Caribbean actually.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Hello. Yes. There we go.
Yes.
Oh dear. So Shireen, just to confirm, my talk will be about 45 minutes and then we'll do question and answer. Is that okay?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
I'm super excited to meet you in person. That's really
Well,
great.
I'm very happy as well. It's so good to meet you, and yeah, thanks for arranging this. How
Next
are
time,
sorry, go ahead.
next time I'm in Canada, I will try to meet you in person. That would be great.
Yes. Yes, have you been to Canada?
Yes, last August.
Ah, how did you like it?
Beautiful country and very nice people. Super nice people.
Yeah, I think it's a nice place.
Yes. And lovely nature.
Yes. Place. Nice place.
So do you like to start sharing your presentation or just I will make quick introduction if you
Yeah.
and after that you will share,
Yeah,
okay?
that'd be great.
Okay. Just we usually give people a few minutes
Sure.
because it has been now everyone is super excited about lean, future of lean, how things will look like in the future.
Yes, it's an interesting time. We're in
Yes.
the midst of great change, as you know, technologically, with the pandemic, which is accelerating all the changes. So yeah, interesting time. I haven't been to Egypt in almost 10 years. I have many friends there, and I like the people and the culture very much.
We hope you can visit again after this
I
COVID.
hope so. I would
We
like to
will,
bring
we
my
will.
I'd like to bring my family. I many years ago when I was a student, I visited Sharm el Sheikh, and it was very
Okay.
basic. And then I went again, and it's like the Riviera. I'd like my family to see it and all of Egypt. So God willing, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we have Paul as well with us. Paul is from Australia. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Hi,
I can't
Paul.
start my video because you've stopped it, but that's okay. How are
Can you
you?
start it? Yeah.
Do you pronounce your name Shireen?
Can you start your video so we can just see you before we start?
Yeah, no, it's saying that it's, oh, there we go. Hello.
Wow.
Hi there.
Hey, Pascal.
Hi, Paul. Good to meet you. Oh, thank you so much. I have to say, I love Australia. We have family
Can I
all
just
over
quickly show
Australia.
you? It's full of notes from years gone by.
Thank you so much. Where are you stationed, Paul? Where's your home?
I'm in Brisbane.
I love Brisbane. I love your country very much. I've been there so many times, and we have family, Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne.
Wow.
None in Brisbane, but
That's
you're
okay.
You all are doing well?
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. It's midnight here at the moment.
Yes. My business partner lives in Auckland actually, and he does a lot of work in Sydney. So I have, we have calls at strange hours of the night.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, so good to meet you.
Yeah, you too. And really do. I love this book.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
It's interesting because we have you, Pascal, from North America. We have Paul from Australia. I am from Africa. And we have as well Rainer from Europe. So that's really cool how technology is helping everyone to learn and share and meet. And that's great. So before we start, shall I ask everyone who joined us so far, type where you are from, what's your country? So it's interesting to know about you. Okay, so please write here. From Egypt, yes. Where else? Okay. Okay, it's interesting. Okay, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Pakistani, and from KSA, you live in Saudi. That's really good. Egypt. Okay. Egypt. Riyadh, Saudi. Okay. Egypt from Aswan. Wow. That's south of Egypt. When you come, you should go there, Pascal.
Really? Well, I would love to, God willing.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have people from Egypt who are writing their cities, which is so cool, super cool, because it shows we have people from north, east, west, and south. That's great. And the center of Egypt. It's fantastic. So more and more people are joining. It's interesting. Saudi Arabia from, okay. So we usually give people like a few minutes, but I think we're okay. More people will join as we go. So it's amazing to have you all with us. Rainer is joining soon. And it's great. We are super happy that you accepted our invitation. Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Paul. And thank you, Rainer, of course. Okay. It's really great. The passion, the energy, the knowledge you have, and you are willing to share it with people, educating people, helping people. It's really amazing. Okay. So I would like to start with Pascal. So because Pascal is joining his vacation, of course, today is Saturday, and it's very late for you, Paul. I don't know what is the time at your place. Is it 10 p.m. or what?
It's midnight.
Midnight? Oh my God, that's really hard.
Between Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, thank you for accepting and coping and accommodating. That's really amazing. Thank you, Pascal, for joining us today. And it's Saturday, it's your vacation since 2 years, but you are keen to spend some time with us. So Pascal, the floor is yours. Okay, please.
Thank you. Thank you all. Let me share my screen. And share. Okay. Let me just take a moment and confirm that everybody can see. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, so thank you to Shireen and the Symbios team. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks to Paul and Rainer and the other speakers. It's a rare thing to be able to get together from every corner of the world and share and learn together. So it's a special thing. So thank you to Shireen and Symbios for setting this up. I'm speaking from the Caribbean. My family are in the Cayman Islands. It's our first vacation in 2 years. And you may see my wife making breakfast behind us. So she said, just ignore me. A little bit about myself. I'm an engineer by training. I grew up professionally at Toyota Manufacturing, and I spent the 1990s learning the Toyota production system. I started Lean Pathways in the year 2000, and we've been helping companies around the world implement the Lean management system. And I'm lucky enough to spend time in Egypt, and I have many friends. We worked the Suez Canal for some time, and my friends were so gracious and showed me around Cairo and places in and around Egypt. So I have a real warm spot and warm memories. So thank you for that. About 5 years ago, I got a phone call from an airport in India, in Chennai, as I recall. And there was a fellow on the other side saying, "Hey, I like your book. Let's write one together." I said, "Hello? Excuse me?" Turned out to be a very interesting French banker and tech innovator named Laurent Simon, who's now my business partner, as it happens. And that triggered a real awakening in me, and an understanding and appreciation for the rate at which technology was and is changing, and change that will only accelerate. And here 5 years later, we've launched a number of businesses together, focusing on applying lean and lean digital principles in this ever-changing world. So I'm going to describe that process and tell stories from our learning the past 5 years. I want to emphasize that our digital activities, our company is called Digital Pathways, builds entirely on the work and the learning of Lean Pathways, our analog company, if you will, and which in turn builds on, my good fortune to work with the great Japanese senseis. Everything is connected, but we've had to translate the principles for a digital world and now a post-pandemic world. As it happens, it was a very lucky thing, I suppose, that we delved into digital so intensely those years ago, because the pandemic has merely accelerated everything. So I heard a fellow say, 2030 arrived early. So everything has happened 10 years early. So with that preamble, Laurent Simon and I have been working together now for 5 years, since that fateful telephone call. My background is manufacturing, as I said, a lot of work in healthcare and insurance. Laurent's background has been in technology and technological innovation and banking. So we had a very nice synergy, and we were able to teach each other's specialties. And part of the work we do entails teaching through what we call digital executive forums. So we work closely with the INSEAD business school to the world. And we have a number of executive forums where people can join and learn the fundamentals of some breakthrough technology, whether it's blockchain or Internet of Things or AI, big data. as well as the new ways of working that allow us to fully harvest the potential of digital. So if you're interested, by all means, go to our website. There's a lot of information there, a lot of blogs and increasingly videos and stuff like that. But part of my personal mission is to share this. I'm extremely lucky in my my career, and at this point, it's about fun and learning and sharing. So the past 5 years, Laurent and I have put together a team and a company, and we've been able to practice and apply everything we learned in different industries, and we wanted to summarize it in a book. This is the book. It's set in Singapore, which is really the epicenter of the wonderful East Asia innovation ecosystem. And it's a novel about a very real bank facing very real disruption and possibly extinction, and they have to very quickly learn how to do what I'm going to talk about now. So if you're interested, why do check it out on Amazon or any of the online bookstores. So why did we write this book? Well, we need to respect the law of gravity. Things change very quickly, and what was up yesterday may not be up today or tomorrow. In fact, it may be falling down. It may be irrelevant. It's a hard lesson, especially if you're a very strong lean company. So imagine a manufacturer that provides parts for combustion engines. You're facing a very different future than you might have expected, say 10 years ago. You may have the best changeover, the best standard work, the best supply chain. You build quality into the process. You have an engaged team. You have a very clear strategy and management system to deploy it. But it doesn't matter. If you don't change, you're going to be in very difficult straits very quickly. So we have to change, but how to build on what we've achieved. The good news is that the fundamentals apply as much as ever, even more so in the digital world. But again, we have to learn how to translate them. And that's what this book is about. So in a post-pandemic digital world, organizations have to achieve two critical objectives. We've got to protect our core business, and that entails the fundamentals of the Toyota production system. They are valid, they're sound, they're powerful as ever, but they're not sufficient. We've also got to learn how to ignite new growth by absorbing new ways of working and new methodologies, lean startup, design thinking, agile ways of working, growth hacking, lean experimentation, as well as the critical technologies. People often talk about the essential 8, drones, AI, big data, robotic process automation, blockchain, and the like. Those are a good start. But collectively, they begin to give us the opportunity to ignite new growth. So it's two jobs: protect the core business, and that's lean fundamentals. They're the foundation. And then based on that, you can blast off and ignite new growth by engaging the methodologies and technologies I just talked about. So effectively, we have to continue to play the game better. And where possible, we have to change the game. So a core metaphor that we've come up with the past several years to describe the transformation needed is the digital innovation tree. And this is central in our book and in our practice, in fact. So the question number one is, what kind of fruit do we want to grow? It turns out there are 3 kinds of innovations. The most basic we call lean digital client journeys. So you take your existing customer journey and you apply lean digital tools to simplify, to automate, to continue to eliminate waste. So much administrative work, for example, in banking and insurance, can be simplified and automated. Robotic process automation can do searching and tabulating and identifying abnormalities and confirming international identities and through know your customer kind of activities. New digital offerings might be an entirely new a customer journey. So for example, we're a commercial bank and our current customer journey entails someone coming into the bank, meeting the loan manager and asking but we can develop a new digital offering where in all of that is done directly to the smartphone, and within 48 hours, commercial enterprise, say a small business, can secure a significant loan, and all the know your customer, confirm, blah, 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 is all done automatically through robotic process automation. Third kind of fruit, of course, is an entirely new business model. That's where we might use, say, blockchain in our supply chain business to entirely automate the transmission of information. As you know, in international trade finance, there are dozens of documents that have to be validated. Let's say you're sending TVs from Taiwan to the port of Rotterdam. There might be 30 or 40 documents, 19 organizations that are involved there. Well, through blockchain, we can create an entirely new business model, which cuts the lead time, say, by 90%. So question number one, what kind of fruit do we want to grow? And how to do that? We have a process called Digital Strategy Compass, wherein you identify your current strategic position, identify your digital vulnerabilities. Where are we potentially weak? And then you develop an innovation hypothesis. We believe if we do this, this, and this, we will achieve our overall aspiration. And then once you have a hypothesis, you can develop what we call an innovation portfolio. So a mix of innovations, usually a mix of these three here, journeys, new offerings, new business models, that will help you achieve your aspiration. So question one, what kind of fruit do we want to grow? Question number two, what is our current capability? In order to enable and succeed in this difficult journey, you've got to ask and self-audit your core systems, your people system, your work system, your management system. We have a series of audits that allow us to understand where are our weaknesses. So for example, if our innovation hypothesis is, let's say we're the bank, we need to get much, much better at data, at harvesting data and using artificial intelligence to continually improve the customer journeys of our customers. But we don't know AI and we don't know data, and our legacy IT systems don't talk to one another. We've got 400 different systems that have been built one by one over the last 40 years. They don't talk to one another, and we have frequent outages. Well, we need to know that, and we need to fix that if we're going to affect this digital journey. Another important element of the current capability is external collaboration. No company is able to do everything. You have to collaborate. So you have to understand who is in your ecosystem. What skills do you need? Again, your innovation thesis and innovation portfolio will inform you, okay, we need to partner with somebody that's good at this, this, and this. And then you have to reach out and make friends with them and break bread and form good relationships and over the long term, perhaps partnerships. So that's a big question. How do you collaborate with tech companies? Tech companies tend to have a very different culture. So if you're a big bank, you've been around for 100 years and you're set in your ways and you're very regulated and you think in a certain way, how are you going to work with a startup that has 15 people and they don't like any of your rules, and they won't work with you if you give them a 100-page purchasing agreement? They'll say, no, it's a one-pager, or I'm not working with you. So all these are important questions with respect to current capability. The third question we have to answer with respect to building this digital innovation tree is, how supportive is our culture? Some years ago, I wrote a book called Getting the Right Things Done. And in there, I described the mindset of a good lean company, the kind of leadership, the kind of mentality that's required to continually surface problems, continually fix problems, and effect continuous improvement. It turns out that those are necessary, those are foundational for digital transformation, but we also have to supplement them with a number of other core mindsets. We have to learn new ways of working, which, excuse me, my son is doing something. We have to learn new ways of working, which comprises integrating a number of methodologies, growth hacking, design thinking, lean startup. For a start, we have to integrate those into a coherent innovation process, just as a core process in lean is practical problem solving, the 4 steps that were drilled into my head at Toyota. Lean experimentation entails a core process, and we have to define that and then teach it to what we call our intrapreneur community. We have to build intrapreneur capability inside the company so that we can start to grow, we can start to plant different seeds and grow them. I won't go into the details, but in effect, it entails applying some of the methods you might see in some popular shows like Shark Tank, where 4 people have ideas and they're pitching their ideas to a group of judges, if you will, and the best idea gets a little bit of funding. And then if validates its hypothesis, it gets a little bit more money. And then if it keeps working its way up the innovation curve, you get a little bit more money at a time. So those are the kind of things that intrapreneurs do. So we call this 101, 201, and 301 in our practice. Now, how do you effect this innovation tree? We found that a sustained transformation requires 3 swim lanes, as we call it. So the overall steps are up here: prepare, lay the foundation, build momentum, thrive, and scale. And here are the core swim lanes. Foundational is a digital leadership and strategy. So our leaders have to become digitally literate. They have to understand in a visceral way just what's possible. It can't be abstract. One of the ways I educated myself, I'd forgotten all my coding. I was an engineer many years ago. We were writing my own codes. My son and I, I guess 5 or 6 years ago, we started coding together again and building little robots together. And thereby I remembered, and I started to make concrete. I started to understand exactly what's possible with technology. And it's those kinds of things. It's that kind of hands-on gut feel, married with good strategy. I mentioned the importance of a digital strategy. So where are we vulnerable? What are our what's our disruption map look like? What's our innovation hypothesis? And what's our innovation portfolio? And all of this must be aligned with the overall true north, the overall aspiration of the organization. The second swim lane, we call the Pragmatic Innovator Network. So it's good to have a strategy, a clear innovation hypothesis, a good portfolio of innovations, but then you've got to have the muscles to be able to affect it. So a pragmatic innovator network entails building capability throughout the organization in the critical skills. And that entails things, boot camps around design thinking and growth hacking. And maybe we have hackathons to teach our people critical skills around coding, around hacking, around working with the community. So we've had a number of really enjoyable hackathons where we have, say senior bankers working together with young hackers from a given community, and the results are always very interesting and very eye-opening for both parties, let me say. Now, the third swim lane is projects. So we've identified our digital vulnerabilities. We've got an innovation thesis, an innovation hypothesis. We've got a good strategy deployment system. I described that in detail in the book, Getting the Right Things Done. And we've got muscles in the organization. Well, now we've got to implement all that. And so swim lane 3 is focused innovation projects. So we want to a portfolio of innovations that have certain qualities. They fit our strategic need. They build on one another. Most of our projects are lean digital projects where we're strengthening our existing customer journeys. So maybe there's 70%, but then we also want new customer journeys, entirely new customer journeys. And then beyond that, entirely new offerings, entirely new businesses. As we get better and better with working with our ecosystem, it's possible to imagine joint ventures or maybe standalone businesses. So all of these comprise our projects. Now, enabling those projects, we require a certain infrastructure. We have to create space, strategic space, physical space, financial space, cultural space, and so on, to allow these to flourish. Because in most organizations, there is what's known as the antibodies that want to protect the status quo. So if we have an innovation lab that's developing new digital journeys in our bank that might obsolesce some of the commercial loan offerings, there's a natural resistance. No, you can't do that here. So how to protect and create space for the innovations to flourish. So that turns out to be a very important consideration in a transformation. And I should just point to the top right here. Again, there are really 4 levels of outcomes that we're looking for. The bottom level is the enablers, and I mentioned some of those in terms of building capability. The next is digitizing existing journeys and strengthening existing journeys. The circle represents new offerings, so that could be, it's usually new customer journeys and new offerings, often right to a smartphone. Or it could be completely changing an existing journey, making it, tailoring it entirely for different markets. So for example, we're working with a soft drink company in East Asia, and there are a number of existing journeys, but they're ineffective, especially for Gen Z, for the younger generation. They perceive this company's products as being irrelevant. So the innovation there is to create an entirely new customer journey that totally repositions the products, the value proposition, and the journey so that it is appealing to Gen Z, to my son, for example. So that's another example. And the star is the most ambitious of all, and that usually takes some years to get strong enough, but it entails entirely new digital ventures. And those can be structured in different ways. They can be kept internal, they could be joint ventures with other companies, they can be entirely new business units, or they can be entirely new companies. So these are the 3 swim lanes that help you to, that improve your odds of sustaining your transformation. Okay. And again, the 3 swim lanes overlay the innovation tree in the way that I describe. They're congruent with the innovation tree. So that there are 2 core metaphors. Maybe the metaphors you can take away from my talk are the innovation tree and the 3 swim lanes, and they intersect in the way that I describe here. So I'll zoom into swim lane number 1, developing digital leadership and strategy. So I mentioned building your digital literacy. It's really important to get your hands dirty, to play, even if you're not good at it, even basic coding, basic assembly of basic robotics, basic hacking, just to alert your mind to the possibilities, which are really quite astonishing. As my son and I rediscovered, or for myself rediscovered, coding and robotics and sensors and circuits and the rest, I remember just how wonderful it is. So we built a little car robot and told it to go straight, and then when it gets within an inch of the wall, turn left and spin around and come back. And if the light goes down, flash lights. And it's quite magical. It really is magic, you know. So we need to build that kind of visceral understanding. To enable that, in addition to hackathons and the kind of stuff I was describing, we hold what we call digital executive forums. So let's say our company is really interested in blockchain or in 3D printing or in drones or something like that. We invite people from the local ecosystem that are good at the technology and invite them to present, do show and tell, give some examples, some use cases to a group of interested leaders from a given industry. And that allows people to make friends, shake hands, maybe discuss some kind of a joint project or some kind of support. Again, the emphasis is on real life use cases and leading practices, bringing those together in a digital executive forum. Another key element of digital leadership and strategy is deploying the strategy and building the supporting management system. And by that, I mean level 1, level 2, level 3 meetings that are connected to one another. Information is flowing up and down. Support is flowing up and down. And problems are visible and generate quick countermeasures. Senior leaders understand and accept that their role is to eliminate obstacles. Their role is to help to make the problems visible and then eliminate them. That's their job. It's not to command and control and tell people what to do, because leaders have no clue what's required at the front line. The job of the leader is to define the overall aspiration, define the banks of the river, if you will, so that we have a clear direction, a clear focus, a clear logic, and then eliminate the obstacles, and then let your people do the good work that's necessary within those constraints. So a key element of the management system we call the lighthouse, the transformation lighthouse. The Japanese call it the obeya, which means big room. And that's what it is. It's a big room wherein we have a regular stand-up meeting as a senior leadership team. And we have what we call an operating rhythm. So every week, Friday at 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, we follow the drill. What our focus areas, what's the target, what's the actual, what are the biggest problems, what are we doing about them, et cetera, et cetera. So every week, that operating rhythm allows us to develop the shared understanding, make quick countermeasures, and express the kind of innovation culture that we're preaching to the rest of the organization. Typically, the lighthouse has this kind of a structure. On the left-hand side, we have our aspiration and winning logic. So what are we trying to achieve as an organization, and what's our winning logic? Typically, we also will have the key objectives, the KPIs, if you will, that allow us to gauge, are we winning or losing the game? So the left-hand wall is aspiration and winning logic. The center wall is, what are the key activities? What are our key innovation activities? What are our key partnerships, our key plans, our key rollouts, our key what have you? What's happening right now? So typically this will be dashboards of showing the trends, critical KPIs. It could be an innovation funnel showing what stage each innovation is in, and then some simple color coding that shows we're okay, we're not okay. It could be an agile board, say a Kanban board, which shows the progress of a given plan or a given activity. The idea with the middle wall is to make visible what's happening right now. What's our plan and what are we doing right now? What's going well, what's not going well? And thereby we can go to wall 3, which is about the roadblocks. Problems are normal. There's no shame. It's normal to have a problem. If we didn't have problems, we wouldn't need management. So there's no shame in that. That's a key mindset. We're here to surface problems. So what are the top problems? What are we doing about about it. What's the status of the countermeasure plan? Thereby, we see together, we learn together, we act and know together. This, of course, is replicated at smaller and smaller levels at level 2 and level 1. At level 1, the front line, that would be a team stand-up meeting, a team huddle. You know, those of you that know Agile are familiar with that. A team huddle, maybe 25 minutes, standard agenda, and you go through your focus areas, targets, the actuals, and so on. So this is really a fractal. It's like a Russian doll. It's replicated throughout a good management system. Yeah, so yeah, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I'll skip this just for the whoops, interest of time. The lighthouse meetings, or deep dive meetings, we also call them, entail practicing what we preach. The culture of innovation requires certain kinds of behavior. It starts from senior leaders, and you must be absolutely committed to managing in a different way. So here are some of the rules of engagement. It's visual, it's show and tell. It's not blah, blah, blah. It's visual, and it's non-judgmental. The attitude is, we know we have good people, and it's normal for any organization to have process problems. So let's talk about the process problems. Let's make them visible. Listen, seek to understand before speaking. Leave your rank at the door. So a flat hierarchy, leave your rank at the door. Problems are gold. The lighthouse and similar activities exist to make problems visible. We seek a culture of discovery, not a culture of compliance. Do what I say. That's a great way to go extinct. It's a culture of, what did we discover is broken today? How did we fix it? And how will we share the learning? It's a different atmosphere. So therefore, we require honesty and humility. No sacred cows and no silver bullets, no magic, you know. It's evidence-based management. Here's our hypothesis. It worked or it didn't work. Here's the data. Here's what we learned. And learning through experimentation is one of the biggest challenges. In the lean world, we think of experiments as taking 2 or 3 weeks, et cetera. And I'm going to run an experiment on this supply chain element. In the digital world, the experiments have to be much, much quicker. And the focus is much more on the customer journey and much more on understanding what is the customer doing, thinking, feeling, and what are the customer's jobs to be done. This was one of my great learnings. I thought, well, I come from Toyota, I'm an engineer, I know the customer. And I realized that my understanding of the customer was comparatively light, certainly with respect to digital understanding. And the great digital companies, the Amazons of the world, have an understanding which is far deeper than anything that I've ever experienced. So we learn through experimentation, and those experiments focus on the customer. What are they doing, thinking, feeling at every step of the journey, from the moment they think about, maybe I want to use this service or product, to, you know, years after they've used it and disposed of it, the entire journey, not just the manufacturing process or the supply chain. So the focus is on customer experience. And one of the key concepts by the great Clayton Christensen is jobs to be done. What are the jobs to be done? Why is the customer hiring our product or our service? And if you really do this well, you'll find it's something totally different. The late, great Dr. Christensen has a famous video on YouTube where he asked, what is the job to be done of a McDonald's milkshake? And I encourage you to look it up. It's a very charming story. And the job to be done is totally, totally different than we might have expected. And using those insights, Dr. Christensen and his team were able to have remarkable increases in milkshake sales. Now, as he said, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but that's what they asked us to do. All these ideas are summarized in this. I think it's a very entertaining novel. called Harnessing Digital Disruption. It's also a love, it's a love story for Singapore. I mean, I love Singapore. So if you do have a look at it, you'll see a map of Singapore in the appendix with all the places that appear in the book. And all of these places I've been to, and all the experiences in the book often happened in all these places. So it's quite a fun book. I'll just take a moment to describe this image, which is another core image and metaphor in our practice. These are 3 circles representing 3 core methodologies which we must integrate to affect digital transformation and new, cool, wonderful digital products. And we have 3 questions that correspond to them. So question number 1, does the solution wow? So we have customer journeys, jobs to be done, and we have a solution. Through the discipline of design thinking, we can answer the question, does the solution wow? Does the customer go, whoa, that's insanely great? And it was like the first time you saw the iPad, whoa, that's what I want. Okay. Question number 1, does the solution wow? If it doesn't wow, stop. Go back to the drawing board. Question number 2, the bottom left, does the solution work? So that's usually the disciplines of agile ways of working. So that's coding, it's sprints, it's daily stand-up meetings, it's review meetings, it's validating the various stages in your code production process, and then validating that everything works and the features arrive as designed and the damn thing doesn't crash. So does it work? So does the solution wow? Does the solution work? The third question is, can we make money? Can we actually develop a business case where we actually make money? This is self-sustainable. And those are the arts and methods of lean startup and growth hacking. So does the solution wow? Design thinking, does it work? Agile ways of working, can we make money? The disciplines of growth hacking and lean startup. And together these form an innovation method that can create magic. And as it happens, the last thing is we've identified 3 persona in our work that correspond to each of these circles. Does a solution wow? That's the hipster. And I've gotten to know a lot of hipsters, designers, for example, and they think in a very different way than, say, engineers or business people. So does the solution wow? That's the hipster. The second H, does it work, of course, is the hacker. And hackers have very different personalities than hipsters, as you may imagine. And can we make money? That persona is the hustler, the business person. So we need the hipster, the hacker, and the hustler working together in an integrated way with this shared methodology to create magic. It can be done. It is done. The great digital companies do it, and we benefit. You can ask for something and you get it from your smartphone and you get it 48 hours later. It's an astonishing thing. So with that, I'll hit the pause button, and I hope that made sense. And I'll take questions. Shireen, over to you.
Thank you, Pascal. So we still have some time if you like to talk more, but any questions? So there's a first question here is asking from where we have to start. We have to start.
From when?
From where?
From where?
He's asking. Yes, we have to start.
From where do you have to start? Well, I think step one is, as I said earlier, we have to identify our digital vulnerabilities. So we call this a disruption map. So we look at our existing business offerings, and each of them entails an underlying process and an end product or service. So assessing our disruption potential means looking out at our competitors, looking out at the existing technology, and identifying where we're vulnerable. So obviously, if we produce parts for combustion engines, that's quite obvious where we're vulnerable. But in other industries, it may not be as obvious. So for example, if we're an insurance company, we're in a protected industry, a protected market, and we may think, oh, well, there's no vulnerability here. Nobody can touch us. You know, we've been around for 100 years. But if we zoom out and we look at the kind of offerings in different jurisdictions, the power of platforms, for example, the idea that maybe Amazon will get into insurance. They've got this huge database. People trust them. They're extremely good at delivering. What if Amazon, you know, so you start to understand what your vulnerabilities are. And then based on that, you can build an innovation thesis. Well, okay, we're an insurance company. We're going to have to get much, much better at data if we're going to compete with the big tech companies. So what does that mean? Being good with data means we're going to have to hire data scientists, and we're going to have to partner with companies that are good at artificial intelligence. Okay, who is in our ecosystem? And you start to educate yourself and start to form a presence. So you've started, you know. So that's what the process looks like.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for this. And someone is asking about his company. He says, I'm not sure that my customers and suppliers do the same level or have the same level of improvement. Okay. He means like same level of maturity and readiness. And this will lead to failure and loss of all investment we did. So how can we surely take first step? Specifically, the road of this level of maturity will cost our company huge investment. So he's worried about the maturity of his downstream and upstream.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Parties. Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's relevant not only for lean digital, but just, you know, the analog work as well. If you have a supply chain and a company that's dependent on many external partners, you will be limited often by their capability. So what the great manufacturing companies have done, and I'm thinking of Honeywell, Procter & Gamble, Toyota, and the like, is they do invest in long-term partnerships and in building the capability of their suppliers. This can be an expensive initial investment, I understand, but Honeywell, Procter & Gamble, Toyota have found that it's worth doing, because thereby you have a much more stable supply chain and you have a shared understanding. And it requires a commitment to long-term partnerships, long-term relationships, and a different way thereby of working. The same applies for digital. So if you're within a complex supply chain and you want to transform digitally, obviously you have to help your key suppliers up the same journey. So again, that is going to require resources. You have to make a strategic decision. What's the right level of investment in our supply chain partners? Are they capable of doing it? Are they committed to doing it? If they're not committed to doing it, then you probably want to think about either internalizing that work or finding other suppliers that are open to it. But I don't really see that you have a choice. If your competitors are improving at an extremely high rate, sometimes you have to make hard decisions.
So there is another question. Is there a scientific standard way to assess the digital maturity within an organization?
Yeah, we have quite a detailed audit. Normally you want to assess the core components of the organization, the management system, the people system, the work system, and the customer. The customer system, the voice of the customer, how well does the organization understand the voice of the customer? Those are the 4 core audits. And then there is the tech audit. So it's a deep dive into your IT legacy systems. What is their capability? The core measures, the core uptime, mean time to repair, mean time between failure, but also your ability to release code. Can you release code continually without crashing your systems? Can you continue to upgrade the customer journey, the customer experience? The masters of this, of course, are what they call it Ganolf, Google, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, Apple, and what was I think I said Facebook, and LinkedIn, I think. Anyhow, the great tech companies are able to release code every few seconds. I think Amazon is something like every 10 seconds they release code. So we have to be able to assess how good is our tech system. So those are the 5 elements of assessing your digital maturity. I should also say that I don't want to be misunderstood. The risk and the risk varies per industry. So and it depends on how close you are to what we call the productivity frontier. In some industries, we're very far away from the productivity frontier, and focusing on protecting your core business by good lean activities should be the priority. As you get to the productivity frontier, what you find is your gross margins and your profits start to really shrink because everybody's at the same space. And you see this in the automotive business. Most companies are extremely strong and have the same relative profitability because they're at the productivity frontier. So as you approach the productivity frontier, it becomes more and more important to ignite new growth, to invent new ways of playing the game or changing the game. So you can play the game better, and then at a certain point, you reach the productivity wall, and it's very difficult to get beyond it without digital methods and igniting new growth. So I trust that makes sense. Just a quick story. Some industries like healthcare are very, very far away from the productivity frontier. So for those industries, just doing the fundamentals of standard work and visual management, quality in the process, that's a lot. That's probably 10 years worth of work. So in those industries—
But they want, Pascal, they want—
Yes.
Those people of healthcare, they don't want to do it. They like to buy technology, invest in expensive things, and they don't like to do the basics.
That's right. That's a great story, Shireen. Yes, we've all seen that. And as a result, we have catastrophe in healthcare. So again, I don't want to be misunderstood. You have to build everything on a foundation, of a strong, lean foundation. So protect your core business, and then you can ignite new growth with digital. If you try to go directly to digital, and if you try to digitize a bad process, you will create garbage at the speed of light. All the things I'm talking about entails strengthening your process, simplifying, taking out all the waste, building quality in the process. Then we can talk about digitization because you have a strong foundation. So thank you for that, Shireen. I trust that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, I have a question for you. As a lean practitioner, you have done lean in many companies.
Yes.
All over the years and many continents. So lean, because I love your book of Lean Simplified, and I always recommend it to everyone. You make things simple and easy.
Thank you.
So when you talk to people, someone in discrete industry, someone in process industry, what do you recommend to them to look at? Like tips from top of your head as a lean practitioner.
Well, it depends. If for senior executives, I would suggest is validating with the broader team, what is our aspiration? And that's a hard question. Who are we? What do we believe in? Why do we exist? What does ideal look like for us? So validate your aspiration and validate your winning logic. Think it through. What are the steps? Like in a chess game, A plus B plus C plus D equals success. And then just validate that and validate it with your board. If you're, say, a practicing manager, in a manufacturing company or in a power company or, you know, a consumer goods company. I think the same things apply. So what are we trying to achieve as a division, as a team, as a factory? What's our winning logic? And then you want to also look at the fundamentals. So is our standardized work good? Is our visual management good? Can we see at a glance whether things are okay, not okay? Do we understand our processes at a basic level? Do we understand cycle times and bottlenecks? And do we understand demand coming in? Do we understand our capacity? Are we able to fluidly adjust our capacity to shift demand? You know, and that's obviously a big deal in seasonal businesses. So all of the above, all of the fundamentals of lean are essential, or, you know, will always be essential to that solid foundation. Once we have the foundation, then we can ask bigger questions. Senior leaders then need to ask, as I said, what are our digital vulnerabilities? What's our disruption map? And what's our innovation thesis? Similar to our winning logic. So what's our digital innovation thesis? We believe if we do this, and this, we will be in a good position to achieve that broader goal. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. So there is another question for you here.
Please.
Any idea in making people visit someone, I think it's from Philippines or something, is asking about any ideas in making people visit their local bank branch again. He's requesting this for you. In the Philippines, people still make visits, but the services are not maximized. In a way, they are not aligned in the account holder's digital account.
Yeah, banking is in the midst of a major transformation. There are three fundamental sectors in most banks. One is the retail banking, which is what our colleague is describing. Then there's commercial banking, so helping businesses, and then there's wealth management. But what you're describing is retail banking. So, you know, I have a bank, our family has a bank. What do we need? We need loans for a mortgage. We need a debit card, a credit card. Perhaps we need some basic financial advice. And more customers, and probably our colleague is the same way, do not want to go into the bank because it takes a lot of time. It's a waste. Why can't I just have this information directly to my smartphone? And you see this in many parts of East Asia, certainly in Singapore. Enormous amounts of business are done through the smartphone interface. So that requires a hub where retail banking customers can enter and have all the information they need, all the services they need, et cetera. And so that's the future of retail banking. And if not every bank is accelerating up that journey. So it depends on the jurisdiction. I think depends on how protected the industry is. It depends on the competition. But I think eventually people around the world are going to expect banking to be delivered the way Amazon delivers products. You know, you can order everything right from your smartphone, anywhere, anytime, and get service in 24 or 48 hours. Unfortunately, for many industries, Amazon has set the bar very, very high. And people are saying, well, if Amazon can do it, how come my hospital, you know, can't send me my lab results? And how come my bank can't give me a loan right to my cell phone? And how come my insurance company can't give me car insurance in 48 hours? Why do I have to input the same information over and over and over again, and then they want me to fax? Who uses a fax? They want me to fax all this documentation. It's a waste of time. So more and more people are feeling like that, and probably our colleague is feeling like that in the Philippines as well.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Any other questions? I see a lot of comments in the chats. That's great.
Okay. Yeah. Someone is asking you another question. Can we recommend a sort of customer engagement roadmap or sort of quick wins milestones?
Well, a customer engagement roadmap usually begins by understanding the personas, the empathy map, needs map, persona map, and then mapping out what is the customer doing, thinking, feeling, and what are the customer's jobs to be done. So if we can map out the persona, map out the journey, understand the jobs to be done at a deep level, then we can identify the biggest gaps. So if we do what I just described, then we normally would ask the customer to assess the importance of each of the jobs to be done, of each of the needs, of each of the steps in the journey, assess the importance to them. And then we need to assess what's our actual performance. So now we have a gap. And once we have the gap, we can begin to prioritize, and that's where the quick wins come from. So we're working with a major sports team, and as we one of the customer persona was the girlfriends. It's a soccer team. It's the girlfriends of the young men that love soccer, that are fanatical, and it turns out that the job to be done of the girlfriend is not to watch a great game. She doesn't care about the game. She goes to the soccer stadium because she wants to have a good experience with her partner. She wants to feel close. She wants to feel part of it. She wants to understand them better. And so the job to be done, why am I buying these tickets, is because I want to be closer and have a better relationship with my partner. So if you have that understanding, your investments with respect to that market segment, that persona, will be very different, and your quick wins will be very different. She may not be as interested in this or that kind of a player, or that kind of a technical soccer aspect, but she might be very, very delighted if they have photographs of couples at the stadium, and a big screen that shows couples together, and then maybe photographs after the game, or a video of her and her boyfriend, for example. So that, that's like, that's a wow. So that there's a solution. Wow. They go, wow, that's fantastic. Okay. I hope that helps.
So thank you very much. I think it's fantastic. We learned a lot from you as usual. You have great energy and knowledge, and thank you for putting the time and effort to write such wonderful books. Okay?
Thank you.
Your book is on top of my reading list. I will start reading it. Okay.
Thank you, Shireen. Thank you all for coming, and have a great rest of the conference. My colleagues on the panel, have a great rest of the conference. I'm afraid my wife is pulling on my sleeve. I have to go to breakfast, and then we have chores to do here on our vacation. Okay, so I will not be joining the rest of it, but thank you so much for the invitation. And if you have any questions, you can reach us through our website. So good luck to you all. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you very much.